गोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परौ प्रेमामृतं बनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परौ प्रेमामृतं बनिधि कुजत कोकिलहं संसार सुगण कीर्णे मयूराकुले नाना रत्न निबद्ध मूल विटप श्रीयुक्त वृंदावने राधा कृष्ण महन्निसं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ जौ बुधा वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजग श्रीजीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परौ प्रेम।
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome to the Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading and discussion with the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society group. And we have an online presence in our Hare Krishna Society YouTube page, where our classes have been recorded and saved for future reference, not only for us here who are currently living on this planet, but for future generations who are searching for the truth in a world of confusion. And there has been chaos that has erupted, just like a nuclear bomb. When a nuclear bomb drops, when you see the cloud go up and you see the devastation, it is absolutely horrific. So like that, the departure of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, created a chaos in this spiritual journey that all of us started and are still on. And this is very unfortunate, but it is a reality. It's part of the pastimes of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and ours. And it's an amazing story, especially when you look at the amount of work of devotional service that Srila Prabhupada performed while he was with us in the Western world in a very short period of time. And you see all the pictures. There's so many amazing, thousands and thousands and thousands of photos taken of these pastimes with him and his disciples from around the world, because Prabhupada traveled around the world 11 times during that time period and was constantly engaged in writing the scriptures. He transformed the presentation of Vaishnavism with the use of some very simple tools. I think you might remember Rupa Raghava and Yashodanandana. Back in the early 70s, it was quite popular to use a cassette tape recorder. Now, some of you probably have never heard of a cassette tape recorder, but it was a great little instrument. And you can see Yashodanandana walking along the beach with Srila Prabhupada. He's carrying a cassette tape recorder. Like, what is this thing? Little batteries, and holding it up to capture Prabhupada's words. Prabhupada used these tools. He also used a dictaphone. You remember those? Dictaphone. It was a great, I still remember wanting to get one when I was working in Toronto as the president of ISKCON Toronto. But what you needed, if you had a dictaphone, Vijaya Pandit, you had to have somebody to transcribe it. Like many of the lawyers I used to have, they had a secretary that spent her day or his day transcribing what you spoke into a dictaphone. And Prabhupada used this dictaphone to create all these amazing books. And you know, Prabhupada had all kinds of reference books that he used to support what he was presenting on these tapes to be transcribed into books. So as a result, we got this huge library of information from him, spoken by him, in samadhi, transcendental samadhi. And yet people, somehow or other, cannot accept that Prabhupada is still living in sound. This is a fundamental principle that a person that's practicing bhakti yoga has to understand. Otherwise, they become a Vapuite. How do you like that? A Vapuite. A member of Vapuism. These are new words. Vapuism. Well, somehow or other, some people, they make up these words, like in the ISKCON group, they call us, or they call me, a Ritvik. Okay, well, that's an actual term for someone who initiates other people on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. And then they have a new term, which is called Ritvikism. This is a total concoction. We're not Ritviks, we're Prabhupada disciples, and Ritvikism is a term to slander us. So guess what? We are going to call these people that believe that the Guru is has to be present in a form, not physical form, not sound. We're going to call those people Vapuites. Oh, you Vapuites, you. And you're part of the Vapuism movement, I see. Oh. So we have all these different groups. But really, we are Veronica. We are Prabhupada disciples at different stages in our evolution, our education. And I've been reading, as you know, or for those that come to our programs, I've been reading a variety of different books over the last year. And incidentally, the reason I'm not reading from the diaries these days is I don't have them with me because of baggage restrictions and traveling, and they're big books, but no problem. We'll get back to those when I get back to Canada, which will be in 2 weeks. And we'll start again to read the diaries, the Jaladuta diaries and that, and study them forensically so we can understand Prabhupada's mood, his attitude towards spreading Krishna consciousness, which is much different than the way it's described by our God brothers in various Leelas, our pastime book reviews of him. But nonetheless, we're going to read a section, the qualifications of a disciple. Some people see the illusion of material life and the problems of living in the material world and the material body, along with the mundane material mind. And along with the mundane mind, we have the false ego, the intelligence. We have to have a pessimistic attitude towards material life, Prabhupada told us. Otherwise, where's the incentive to want to leave? Where is it? If you think it's all great, it's a wonderful circus of opportunity for material sense gratification, then do you want to get out? No, you have to have a pessimistic, we're not pessimistic people, but we have a pessimistic view of material life. Birth, death, disease, old age. These are realities, but we want to ignore them. So here this morning, what we're going to do is read briefly a section from the Nectar of Instruction. And this is from the 5th verse of Nectar Instruction. I'm in the purport here. So please, if you get a chance, if you don't have the book, we're planning to produce it in the future. But if you have it, you can read it today or read it this week and enjoy the instructions in this amazing book, very concise book on spiritual life. And let's go to the verse here, or the purport. When one becomes so disinterested in material life, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. You see that, Vijaya Pandit? Disinterested, pessimistic. For the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.13 prescribes tapasya, brahmacharya, samena, damena cha. When a person is serious about accepting diksha, which is all what we want to do, our group, with Srila Prabhupada, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and body. To rise up, by the way, from the material platform, the animal platform of life. If one is so prepared and is desirous of receiving spiritual enlightenment, divyam jnanam, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam jnanam is technically called tad vijnana, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tad vijnanartam sa gurunam eva bhigachet. When one is interested in the transcendental subject matter of the absolute truth, he should be initiated. Such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take diksha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 also prescribes tasmad gurum prapadyata gignasu shreya uttamam. When one is actually interested in the transcendental science of the absolute truth, he should approach a spiritual master. Now, in this case, Prabhupada's referring to our disciplic succession and him. One should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions. Very key. One should not accept a spiritual master just to make a fashionable show of spiritual life, which has become a part of the ISKCON guru cult. ISKCON guru cult. One must be gignasu, very much inquisitive, to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. Jignashu Shreya Uttamam. The word Uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest, and it'll go away, Prabhus, eventually in us, realizing it's all just useless conversation or useless knowledge, and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. Here are the qualifications, Vijaya Pandit. When one is actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master, and when he seriously engages in the service of the Lord, he should be accepted as a Madhyam Adhikari. The chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. One who has reached such an understanding should very much be respected by neophyte devotees. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for the advancement in Krishna consciousness. So this offenseless chanting is key. And we'll stop there. But the point is this, that we have to remember that there is a certain mentality that a serious person should carry when taking up Krishna consciousness. They should be serious about, if they're not serious, they try to become serious by a transcendental understanding of who they are from Srila Prabhupada. We are insignificant spirit souls in this material world. We are very, very lost in this phantasmagoria of material life. Just think how many conditioned souls in so many different species of life exist. It's very interesting to note that while I'm in Mexico, here there are trillions of little life forms. They're everywhere. All kinds of ants. There's so many ants, and birds and insects, and they're all spirit souls. And then out of that, there's a few human beings. Like here at this place I'm staying, I'm the only person really, except a couple of other humans. The rest of everything else is birds and insects and the rest of it. So life, every life form is part of the plan of Krishna to get us out of this repeated birth and death. And it's only possible by the association of a bona fide spiritual master. So take this opportunity that we have, all of us, to apply ourselves to this process. And Prabhupada, Veronica, he said one thing. He said, give one life, if you can, to this mission to get out of the material world. Just one life. That's all he requested under his direction. And you'll never be disappointed. Never. Because time flies. It really does. And just to wind up here before we move on to the rest of our program, I had an interesting situation here in Yautepec. When every day when I wake in the morning, I can't help but think of my friend Gopal, who across the way was lying in his deathbed just 2 months ago. And it was a tragedy to see him leave. And every place I go, I get these memories of him when I walk around because it was his place, but it is gone. He's gone. Because time and tide wait for no man or woman. Time and tide wait for no man. And this is the reality of the material world. Take advantage of this. We as a group, and I'm speaking to myself, of course, we have to take advantage of this opportunity to practice bhakti yoga according to Prabhupada's instructions and his explanation today on how to get out of this material world by being a bona fide student disciple of his, not a Vapuite or not a member of Vapuism. Haribo, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll move forward, Ram Raghava, and thank you very much for your commitment to this effort to educate the world on the truth of the matter. Let's have the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava led by our spiritual master, and then after that we'll have the reading and discussion from the Delhi Bhagavatams, which are on their way to America, and soon will be available for distribution globally. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Nandana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jayam Swasaram Shukridrajagacharya Siddhar Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Swami to Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Swami to Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. This reading is being conducted from the 1962 New Delhi edition. And as we do every week, we will be reciting a few selected verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, from the first canto, second chapter, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma karantini bandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuriyat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam svakata Krishna punyasravana kirtana hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead who is praised with transcendental songs comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadara justamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chete terana viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time, the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarvasamshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishware. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. We will proceed with our reading. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 38. Aho devarishir danyayam yakirtim sharam gadan vanaha gayan madhyamitam tantriya ramayati aturam jagat. Aho, all glory to Devarishi, the sage of the gods, Danya, all success, Ya, one who, Kirtim, glories, Saringa Danvanaha, of the personality of Godhead, Gayan, singing, Madhyan, taking pleasure in, Idam, this, Tantriya, by means of the instrument, Ramayati, enlivens, Aturam, distressed, Jagat, world. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. All glory and success to Srila Nārada Muni, because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and doing so, he himself takes pleasure in it, and also enlivens all the distressed people of the universe. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Nārada Muni plays on his instrument for glorifying the transcendental activities of the Lord, for giving relief to all miserable living entities of the universe. Nobody is happy here within the universe, and what is felt as happiness by mistake is Maya. The illusory energy of the Lord is so strong that even the hog who lives on filthy stool feels also happy in the material world. Nobody can be happy within the material world, and Srila Nārada Muni, in order to enlighten the miserable inhabitants, wanders everywhere to get him back to home, back to Godhead. That is the mission of Srila Nārada Muni and all genuine devotees of the Lord, following the footprints of the great sage. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 6th chapter, of Srimad Bhagavatam in the matter of Sri Narada's instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam to Vyāsa Deva. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prasantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Hi Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarabhata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Preshta Shatakaromi Svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As we've mentioned before, in these teachings of Srila Prabhupada, there's very deep transcendental meaning in every sentence, every word. Here we see Prabhupada is explaining nicely how the mission of all, that is the mission of all genuine devotees of the Lord, following the footsteps of that great sage. What is Nārada Muni doing? What is his mission? What is his message? Prabhupada explains. Sri Nārada Muni plays on his instrument to glorify the transcendental activities of the Lord and to give relief to all miserable living entities of the universe. Nobody is happy here within the universe, and what is felt as happiness by mistake is Maya. Now, this is a very important point. We have heard Srila Prabhupada many times explain how nobody in the material world can be perfectly happy. Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita explains, Dukkalayam asasvatam. Dukkha means misery, suffering. Asasvatam means temporary. That this material world is temporary and is full of suffering. This is not very difficult to understand. By practical observation, we can see this. If you don't believe this, go and sit down in a reception room or the entrance room of any hospital. Sit there for 10, 15 minutes and look at the people there. It doesn't matter if you're in Quebec, in California, in Italy, in Mexico, in Texas, or Japan. Anywhere you go, there will be suffering. I remember one time with Guru Kripa Swami, we were on a train on the way from Tokyo City to the Narita airport in Tokyo. And one very educated young man who was pretty fluent in English was explaining how Japan had made so much technological advancement. And Guru Kripa explained to him, well, this is all temporary because ultimately you will not live forever. This ultimately will all be undone. So this temporary material advancement is full of suffering while building it, is full of suffering while trying to maintain it, and full of suffering at every stage of life. So this is a point that needs to be understood very clearly. Recently, I had to get an MRI for an injury that I sustained breaking some ribs. So while waiting to get the MRI or whatever procedure they were doing, I was noticing the people in the room. And everybody is thinking that they're doing very nicely. But under the influence of Maya or illusion, they're all thinking that everything is very nice. They're suffering. You can tell in their faces. They're full of suffering. But Maya makes them think, I'm okay. They're going to do some procedure and everything is just going to be fine. Nothing is going to be fine. As long as you have this material body, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyādi, Dukkha Dosha Anudarsanam. All around the world, the various educational institutions have different tests to judge people's intelligence, their material intelligence. But the Bhagavad Gita has one test, and it is like this: the ability to understand, called Anudarsanam, to be able to see, to be able to comprehend the danger of Janma, birth, Mrityu, death, Vyādi, disease, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyādi, old age. Who can understand this and try to make a solution to the problem? But foolish people do not make solutions. They try to make permanent adjustment here in this material world. Everybody knows they're thinking, oh, let me take a nice vacation to Italy to see Lake Como. Oh, let me go to California, we'll see the beautiful mountains or the ocean. Oh, let me go to Japan, we'll see the Tokyo Tower or beautiful places. But in all these places, everything is temporary. There is no permanent arrangement here. But under the influence of the illusory energy, people think, oh, if I go to this place, that place, if I change this arrangement, that arrangement, then I'll feel happy. No. Bhaktivinoda Thakur compares it. Previously, the kings used to take the criminals and dunk their head in water for some time and pull them out. Miche mayara che bache kabi habudububai. The influence of Maya is like that your head is put under water, you suffer for some time, and then you get a little relief, and you're thinking, oh, this is very nice. The head is again put under water, more suffering, and then a little relief. But this is not enjoyment. That is why Nārada Muni and the bona fide devotees in the disciplic succession try to relieve the material suffering of the people. No one can be truly happy within the material world. Srila Nārada Muni, in order to enlighten the miserable inhabitants, wanders everywhere. His mission is to get him back home, back to Godhead. The only solution is to engage in devotional service, pure devotional service. Now, there is a difference. There is a very big difference between Shuddha Bhakti or pure devotional service and Mishra Bhakti. Mishra means mixed. There is some kind of bhakti that is mixed with karma and jnana, with fruitive activities and mental speculation. Srila Prabhupada, following in the footsteps of Nārada Muni, is teaching that kind of bhakti. There is a very interesting conversation in the Prabhupada Conversation book between a very prominent lawyer and member of parliament in India, where the gentleman was asking, what kind of social service do you do? And Prabhupada's reply, preaching of Bhagavad Gita is the highest service, because there is a philosophy amongst those who preach this Mishra Bhakti, this mixed devotional service, thinking that if I can somewhere or other do some social service, this will be the highest the benefit to humanity. But Prabhupada did not teach this. What Prabhupada taught is by engaging in devotional service, one can gradually be free from all suffering, be free from all anxieties, and become free from birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha tyaktva deham punara janma neti mameti swarjuna. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. I don't know, Ram Raghav, if you're able to pull it up. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 9. Janma karma chami divyam. Lord Krishna explains, oh, thank you. Very nice. So the Sanskrit text is there. Let us see the English here. Srila Prabhupada explains, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Prabhupada explains, the Lord descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning again to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning again to this material world. Now, this is also explained by Lord Krishna himself in another place in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Yad gatva nanivartante tadama paramam mama, that one who achieves my transcendental abode does not have to come back here and suffering in this world. Now, people may say, people engage in the Vapu philosophy, Vapuism, that we see that devotees also sometimes suffer, but that suffering is under the arrangement of Krishna. It is minimized when one is engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So-called suffering is minimized by the arrangement of Krishna. And ultimately, at the end of this life, if one remembers Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will go back home, back to Godhead. This is the promise of Krishna. We see in the Bhagavad Gita in many places. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, after Lord Krishna had explained the entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he told him, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. Just surrender everything. Abandon all these varieties of religion and surrender unto me. And what will be the benefit? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yishyami masucha. I will free you from all sinful reactions. Masucha says, do not worry. Oh, here we have. Thank you, Ram Raghava. Here's the text. Look at the translation. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. So this is very important to understand. Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita, so many different kinds of yoga. Buddhi yoga, Sankhya yoga, Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Hatha yoga. So many different types of yoga have been described. But at the end, Lord Krishna says, just surrender unto me and you will be free from all your troubles. Similarly, the same situation. We see right now much confusion by the propaganda of the Vapu party, the Vapuvad. I call the ATP party, the anti-Prabhupada party, who are constantly arguing how Prabhupada cannot be the guru. because he's not physically present. This Vapuvad party, the ATP party, often will put out videos where they will dare. They have the audacity and temerity to publicly criticize Srila Prabhupada. This is the result of offenses and unfortunate attitude, of unsurrendered attitude. Rather than serve Prabhupada faithfully and accept his instruction, accept his order, they try to speculate in so many ways, claiming that Prabhupada cannot accept new disciples. This is very similar to another leader of the anti-Prabhupada party, the Vapuvad party, who in 1990 in San Diego told us, well, why don't you send Prabhupada a letter and tell us what he replies? Oh, really? Well, why don't you offer Krishna some bhoga and see if it's still there after 15 minutes? Are you going to conclude there's no Krishna? Or that Krishna did not accept the bhoga that has been offered? Because you can still see it there? Or offer the artik to Gaur-Nitai. If they don't jump off the altar and start dancing with you, do you conclude that there is no such thing as Gaur-Nitai? This is atheism, Gnostic-vad. Gnostic means na astika, those who are faithless people. They do not believe in the transcendental personality of God. For that matter, you could argue Krishna, when he chose to disappear from his earthly pastimes, he was shot in the foot by a hunter, and he departed his body. Prabhupada explained one time this was arranged by Krishna for the atheists. Those who are atheists, they will not understand the transcendental position of Krishna and his pure devotees. In the Pancharatra literatures, there's many explanations that great acharyas and great saints are present in their deities. But the anti-Prabhupada party doesn't believe that. Oh, no. The Vapuvad party does not accept that. When Prabhupada says, I am present in my picture, they don't accept. When Prabhupada says, I am present in that deity, they don't accept. When Prabhupada says, I am present in my books, they do not accept. They have so many objections, foolish atheistic objections. When it was presented to the leaders of the anti-Prabhupada party in Vrindavan in February of 1979, that no one in Prabhupada's society should take any worship in front of Srila Prabhupada on the altar in the temple, and then they gave me the deer in the headlight look. Well, you mean to say we can't take worship in any Prabhupada temples? That's correct, because Prabhupada's deity is there. Prabhupada's picture is there. It's not your position. It is an offense to take worship separately in front of one's guru. This is the verdict of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatan Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Guru Ragini Pritak Pujam. It is clearly described. It is offense or blasphemy to take separate worship in front of your guru. And every day they still keep doing it. They never learn. This is the unfortunate position of the Vapuvad party. They do not listen. They do not hear. They do not accept the transcendental position of the Acharya. Or they will have so many nonsense arguments, so many specious arguments. And in law, it's called a vexatious argument. In the province of Ontario in the 1970s and early 80s, there was a lawyer who used to file all different kinds of lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits, harassment lawsuits with no real merit. But because when you go to court, you have to defend, you have to put some objection, you have to hire a lawyer, hire some experts, it's very expensive. So finally, the Law Society of Upper Canada, Ontario, decided to change the law to prevent such vexatious or frivolous nonsense. And this is what we're seeing on the internet with so many Vapuvadis. The self-appointed Acharya party, the LJEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project, is very busy harassing devotees, arguing in all kinds of nonsensical ways to try to disprove Srila Prabhupada's transcendental position. They do not hear. They only hear what they want to hear. It's called cherry picking. They like to pick and choose what they want from Prabhupada's purports and instruction, and the rest that they don't like, they don't like to mention it. They'll suppress evidence, conceal evidence, whenever it's convenient for their Vapuvad philosophy. In any event, enough for that. You all know these topics very well. We will continue with this next part of the program. Back to you in the studio, Vishwakarma Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your time.
Hare Krishna, thank you for that wonderful explanation on many points of our philosophy. And today we were reading about the nature of material life, that it is difficult, and that we should have a pessimistic view of it in order to develop the desire to get out. Because along with taking up devotional service, you have to carry specific qualities, attitudes. You have to be enthusiastic. You have to be determined. You have to be committed. You have to be sincere. And Prabhupada also explains that you have to avoid offenses in the practice of your devotional service. And there are a list of offenses that you have to review, or we have to review, in terms of the chanting of the holy name. So all kinds of things have to be learned. This is a science. It's not whimsical, it's precise. Science means to know. And Sage Prabhupada says to Maharaj Nimi, know that there is no happiness in this world. We're going to go to a few verses that I've researched online about some of the quotes from Maharaj Nimi, and see through these shrutas, these exact statements, how to perceive your existence as a spirit soul in this universe of trillions of living entities. Go ahead, please put that up. Maharaj Nimi, being a self-realized soul, considered that this life is flickering, like the turning. Prabhupada gives the example of a turning on and off of a light switch. You're going to live forever, but before you know it, the light goes off. Therefore, instead of waiting long for Vashishta, he began performing the sacrifice with other priests. Chanakya Pandit says, Sariram Shana Vidhavamsi Kalpatana Sahayino Guna. The duration of one's life in the material world may end at any moment, but if within this life one does something worthy, that qualification is depicted in history eternally. Here is a great personality, Maharaj Nimi, who knew this fact. In the human form of life, one should perform activities in such a way that at the end, he goes back home, back to Godhead. This is self-realization. So it's a science. Maharaj Nimi, let's see if we can get this next section here. Sorry, it's convoluted. Okay, so get the next verse that I wanted to refer to for us to carry on with this.
It's there now.
Maharaj Nimi, Prabhupada tells Maharaj Nimi, my dear king, please know for certain in the material world there is no happiness. It is simply a mistake to think that there is happiness here, because this place is full of nothing but miserable conditions. So these are facts. And further, let's discuss the fallible soldiers, Dharma Bhavana, the fallible soldiers. You live in a world where you create a fortress to protect yourself. And what is the soldiers that protect the fort that you're living in? They're your wife, your husband, your children, your friends, your business associates, all these people that surround you. And you think, oh, I'm in this world of illusion. I'll be protected by all of them. But can they protect you? The Bhagavatam says, no. They're fallible. They're not real. You think it's real. You think you'll be happy in this house, your house of protection, but they're fallible. That's the nature of material life. This is Maya, illusion, that which is not. You think you'll be protected, but you won't. It's like this. You expect that people that are around you, the more you do for them, the more they'll do for you. But many times, Veronica, they do less for you. They take advantage of you. And in this way, you experience the tragedy of material life, the fallible, the fallacy of it. Are you supposed to get depressed? I have a friend, she's a pharmacist, like Prabhupada. And she works at a pharmacy distributing drugs every day. The main drug is antidepressants. I'm so depressed. Let me take this pill. That's what you do. Our Dharma Bhavana. When you go to the psychiatrist or the doctor for help, what does he do? He gives you pills. Here, take these pills, you'll make you feel better. No, instead of understanding what the problems of life are, instead of finding solutions which are at a higher level of spiritual vision, you go take pills. Look at Michael Jackson. Remember him? I think I kind of remember him. I'm just joking, of course. He was addicted to taking pills. He took so many pills. Guess what happened? He killed himself. Why? Because he was depressed. He was so confused. He didn't know if he was a man, woman, boy, white, black. He didn't know who he was. He was very confused. You can see, if you study his history, he went through all kinds of transformations to try to find some peace of mind, but there was none. There's another famous musician, Prince. This guy was very talented. Porushum Nishu, he had all the talent in the world. Very successful, very rich. But what happened to him in the end? He took drugs and died because of overdose. What about Robin Williams? Do you remember him? He was a comedian. He was trying to make people happy. That's a personification of hypocrisy. Externally, he's pretending he's happy, and behind closed doors, he's miserable, and he took drugs and committed suicide. That's something like the Sahajias in this movement. These gurus, they're Sahajiya. The ISKCON gurus are fake. Up front, they propose themselves as some kind of transcendentalist. Sometimes you see them dancing. They're looking like Lord Chaitanya. Here. And in the back room, they're nefarious. What a tragedy. Imposters, pretenders. in the guru business. That is a tragedy. So this next section of the class, or the reading and discussion, as Yashodanandana Prabhu so appropriately describes, we're going to review the unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada by Bhakta Steve. And it's being distributed. I found out, Rama Raghava, that it's one of the books that they distribute extensively in India, these Lilamrita copies. Of course, India's melting pot of confusion nowadays. They're so bewildered. You'd think a country like that is known as the land of Dharma, of religion, would have more clear understanding of the purpose of life. But due to sentimentality, they're so confused. And if you just bring somebody in a saffron robe before these people, and you tell them, oh, Prabhupada said that this person would be your next guru, they simply accept it. And as a result, they're gathering thousands, tens of thousands of disciples. They are, and they're all confused. And what a nightmare, eh? Be dangerous for us to go there. It'd be very dangerous because of the numbers of people that are fanatical, not scriptural. I'm going to end with this story. I was in a car coming back from Mayapur one day with a group of our Vaishnavas, and my friend Udama Sloka got in an argument with the taxi cab driver. Oh yeah. He told him, you're trying to cheat us of so many rupees. It was peanuts money. Guess what happened, Veronica? The guy pulled into his village and 2,000 people surrounded our car. For what? Over a few rupees, they would have killed us. They're very dangerous. It's a very dangerous environment over there, especially for people that preach the truth that Prabhupada is living in his Vani incarnation. And this unauthorized biography of Bhakta Steve has created this confusion because they're misrepresenting Prabhupada's transcendental position as the representative of Lord Chaitanya and the via transparent medium of God to the human society. And that's the glory of Srila Prabhupada. And this is the misfortune of all of them. So let's go forward with Yashodanandana Prabhu and review this section of the program. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I just want to read a few excerpts. Somebody recently, or some time back, sent me some publication that came from Gita Nagari. I don't know who was in charge over there, but it seemed some people say it's the same author as the Lilamrita. This was on a book called Journals and Poems, part number 6, page 280 and 281. The title of the poem is Imperfect Senses. My reflection in the window, eyeglass, knit hat, looking older. Creator scratching in the attic, all I see is wood. Entering the room, I see Prabhupada as ordinary in my unloving eyes. If I remember, Brahmananda and Gargamuni gave me this book many years ago when I was in Badger, California, but I just want to read this again. This is what happens when you start describing and speculating upon the position of the pure devotee. Here he's writing, entering the room, I see Prabhupada as ordinary in my unloving eyes. And my point is, if somebody's eyes are so unloving, don't write this kind of nonsense publicly insulting Srila Prabhupada. This is not the philosophy that Srila Prabhupada taught, This is not the philosophy that our previous acharyas have taught. And we'll be reviewing some of these other so-called poems and writing of this particular author. Now, back to the Lilamrita Review. We are reading from Lilamrita Review, section number 3, page number 14. Srila Prabhupada explains on the top of the page, it says, according to the Lilamrita, book number 1, page 97, as the Gaudiya broke down, it was also affected. Under the present circumstances, how could he carry out his spiritual master's order to preach? Previously, the main obstacle to his preaching had been family commitments, but now the obstacles were compounded. Now he had to wait helplessly for the outcome of this struggle. Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 6, Text 14, His Divine Grace states, our duty, therefore, is to execute a devotional service sincerely under the guidance of the spiritual master. Krishna, by his grace, will supply whatever we need in executing our devotional service. In the Krishna consciousness movement, we simply have to execute the order of Krishna and Guru. Then all necessities will be supplied by Krishna, even if we do not ask for them. Srila Prabhupada further explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, text number 4. When a devotee needs something, the Supreme Personality of Godhead supplies it. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, text 15. As advised by Nārada Muni, one should simply endeavor to increase his Krishna consciousness. One should not desire to do anything else, even to earn his livelihood. There are many examples of this attitude. Madhavendra Puri, for instance, would never go to anyone to ask for food. Shukadev Goswami has also said, why should one approach a person who is blind with wealth? Rather, one should depend on Krishna and he will give everything. Srila Prabhupada further explains in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 18, a Krishna-conscious person does not take shelter of any person, man, or demigod. Prabhupada explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antyalila, chapter 3, text 139. Thank you very much, Ram Maghava, for displaying these nicely. Very much appreciated. A pure Vaishnava thinks himself unfit to help free even one person from the reactions of sinful life, but he engages one's hard money in the service of the Lord and thus frees one from sinful reactions. A Vaishnava guru is never dependent on the contributions of his disciples. Srila Prabhupada further explains in Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 91, the spiritual master is not actually happy if the disciple brings him money, but when he sees that the disciple is following the regulative principles and advancing in spiritual life, he is very glad. We are conditioned and have little faith in Krishna. Therefore, in order to ensure that our necessities are provided for, we may become dependent on mundane persons or facilities and make compromises. However, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, was never dependent on anyone except Krishna. We will pause this here. I just want to read a sentence pertaining to what we were reading today. This is a letter from Srila Prabhupada. Just 1 second here. Turn this crazy phone machine. This is a letter that Prabhupada wrote to a devotee named Chatur Bhuja on May 9th, 1973. May 9th, 1973. Prabhupada writes, your next question, the Bhagavad Gita says that Lord Brahma is a conditioned soul. Then how was it possible for him to impart the Vedas to a non-conditioned soul, Nārada Muni? So Lord Brahma is a conditioned soul means that due to his desire to become the creator of the material manifestation, he had to take birth within the material world. But although he was conditioned by such desire, still he is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. He has written Brahma Samhita, which is pure. Oh, very nice. The letter is actually here. Further down. More. Here we go. That's it. But although he was conditioned by such desire, still he is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. He has written Brahma Samhita, which is pure Vaishnava literature describing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma was the first created being within the universe and the first spiritual master, as he received knowledge from within his heart from Lord Krishna. Nārada appeared as the son of Brahma, and therefore he had to accept Lord Brahma as his spiritual master. Back to you in the studio for further discussion. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes. And I wanted to further explain about the nature of the spirit soul. What is the true nature of all of us? Not about the fish out of the water. Prabhupada uses that example, that when a fish is taken out of the water, it flaps on the side of the bank, and what happens? It eventually dies, because it's not the constitutional position of the living entity, of the fish, to live outside of water. So what is the constitutional position of the spirit soul? And you're right, Krishna Katha, you're reading my mind, if I could say. Sat Chit Ananda. This is who we are. We're eternal. These are the qualities of the spirit soul. Eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So it's, even though we have a pessimistic look at the material world, and we've been talking about it today, the actual reality is that our future life is filled with eternity, knowledge, and bliss. This is the result of devotional service, and it's something that we should look forward to. Many people, their problem is they don't try to find the solution to the material disease. No. But there is one. If you don't study and cultivate transcendental knowledge, how are you going to solve the disturbed mind? Everyone is suffering. We have to follow the process, just like a doctor prescribes a medicine for the sick patient. Oh, yes. But if you don't take the medicine, will you get cured? No. If you take if you're not a good pharmacist and you provide the wrong medicine, what will happen? You'll die, just like in terms of the COVID. This COVID, there was our ivermectin and all kinds of natural solutions, other solutions to the disease, but you were condemned if you prescribed them. In fact, you were punished, you were canceled as a doctor if you didn't go along with the status quo. It was completely demoniac. And if you remember, I'm going to divert for a second. There was this one godbrother of ours, Bira Krishna, who's with this cult, Krishna West. And they promote Vapuism. He said, you should run and find your godbrothers and sisters and inject them with these bogus vaccines. Just run and do it. Because he thought that it was the right thing. This is the wrong medicine. This Vapuism will kill you spiritually. We have to understand that this is a problem for everyone. And you will not experience transcendental life if you follow these people, these cults. They're cults, the guru cults of the ISKCON group. And today, we've been talking about this back and forth all over the place. We have our godbrother Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas, and I'd like to ask him to share some comments and realizations to our group on today's Sunday Bhagavatam class. Go ahead, Prabhu, please, sorry.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah, very beautiful class today. A lot of inspirational messages from the scriptures. Just reflecting back in the 1970s, amongst the yoga meditation groups, the Hare Krishna movement in general had quite a good reputation. I remember my Aquarian meditation teacher was asked about Hare Krishna, and he said, well, they're a very beautiful movement, but I think my method of practicing meditation, mostly from chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, is better. But my point is, the Hare Krishna Society had generally a very good reputation. Now it's not like that. That's why so few people from the Western world are trying to become devotees. And just finding out most likely in the future, our classes will help devotees after World War III, when the preaching is good, to help them to kind of understand how to understand Srila Prabhupada's books and apply them. Our classes are very inspirational, and hopefully they'll be transcribed in some kind of written form in case the internet is not working. So I just had those little thoughts today about the good future after the war is over.
You should talk about that lady. Listen, no.
My humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Here's a message on the chat. I'm Vinay from Bangalore. I'm going to ISKCON Temple, Bangalore for 2 years, so I need to discuss some important questions. Please share your email ID, Prabhu. Your servant, Vinay Sandeep. Okay, and we're getting inquiries on a regular basis from around the world with people that are interested, that are sincere and are looking for answers, and we're always available. My email is bobbyhebert@gmail.com. So you can send me an email, or you can reach me on Facebook Messenger, or my phone number, 289-244-4315, 289-244-4315. You can reach me there, and if you want to reach out to Yashoda, I can provide that contact information for you. Yes, questions and answers. This is the nature of spiritual life. Intelligent questions, intelligent answers, and then follow the process, Vinaya, according to Prabhupada's instructions. That's simple. This is not a difficult system. It's very simple. Spiritual life is not meant to be difficult. It's meant to be simple. But it's simple for the simple, difficult for the crooked, Krishna Katha. Very difficult, as we all know. You want to make up an excuse. You want to rationalize a fallacy. You want to go into the guru business, you will become a leader of a cult, and you will contaminate other people. Ram Raghava, I know you're watching the YouTube channel. I see we had some people on. I'm glad that all of you are coming to our programs. And remember, we have them every week without fail. This is our mission. How many people are on the YouTube channel today, Prabhu?
Today, there were up to 17. Right now, there's 15 people. And
Okay.
we do have a question from Bhakta Sihan. He's asking, when Prabhupada explains that there are 400,000 different types of human beings, does that mean that their consciousness is affected by it? Are the modes influenced by that? He said, it just occurred to me as there is such an effort everywhere, both within and without spiritual movements, to create divisions between and within people. So he was asking about the consciousness of the 400,000 species of human beings.
Okay, I'm going to get Yashoda, of course, to answer in a minute, but I wanted to comment here that sectarianism is very common these days, not only amongst the ISKCON groups, but the Prabhupada Nuga groups, the Ritvik groups like that. All kinds of sectarian groups with individual leaders that are interested in going into business, let's say, for whatever reason, not to get into the details. So sectarianism, we are not a sectarian group. We preach the Sanatana Dharma principle that we are all servants of Srila Prabhupada and we were all servants of Krishna in the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So your question is a little convoluted. I have to see it in writing, but let's refer to Yashoda Nandana for further explanation. Prabhu.
Well, thank you for this question. I think this is a very important point. This description of 400 different types of human being or classification is from the Padma Purana. And Prabhupada, there is no record anywhere of Prabhupada specifying what are those different classifications. We do know that everybody in the material world is suffering, entangled in the modes of nature and under the influence of material nature. And basically what one should learn from this is that these classification in the Vedas, in the Padma Purana, the different forms of living entities, this is just to educate us that in this material world, everything is temporary, and we should be striving to make spiritual advancement to become free from the cycle of birth and death. That is the whole idea behind the description of these different kind of classification. I mean, one time, one devotee, one person asked Srila Prabhupada, what about these descriptions, or what are the details? And one of Prabhupada's reply was, don't worry about the details, just worry how to get out of the suffering. This is very similar to the discussion about where the living entities came from, and whether the living entities came from Goloka, from Vaikuntha, were this place, that place. And Prabhupada's point, it doesn't matter, just try to get out. Just like if somebody falls into the ocean, there's no use in speculating how he fell into the ocean or what was the cause. His first priority should be how to get out of that suffering situation. So similarly, these various inquiries about the kind of living entities, the different classifications of human being, this is given in the Vedas to give us a chance to wake up from our slumber of material entanglement. That's all I can say for now. I'm hoping that this helps answer the question. Hare Krishna.
Yes, 400,000 different species of life. And it's a great responsibility to take up Krishna consciousness with seriousness in the human form that we have on this planet. It's very rare to actually have this opportunity to be a part of the Sankirtan mission. Because Lord Chaitanya, Yashoda Nandana, how often does Lord Chaitanya appear in this universe on a planet?
I believe that question was asked to Srila Prabhupada, and he says it's once in a day of Lord Brahma, which is 8,600,000,000 years or so. So it's very rare. It's a long time. And while one is in this human body, on this planet, at this time, and we have the foremost representative of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, that this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of that situation and become Krishna conscious, and to make as much spiritual advancement as one can make in this human body so one can become free, hopefully, at the time of death and go back home, back to Godhead. Or if one is not perfectly pure, at least one will get another chance, another human form in a better situation to make further progress.
Yes, devotional service is inexhaustible, Prabhupada says, that a little advancement, you never lose it. Whatever you do for Krishna, you get the blessings, eternal blessings of the Lord. We have Bhaktan Amber Endy. I don't know if her microphone's working. She's helping us with our editing of some projects that we're doing, and I wondered if she could share some of her realizations this morning to the Srimad Bhagavatam group. Amber Endy.
Yes, it is working. I wasn't expecting it. What would you like me to comment on?
Well, let's put it this way. You've been listening and you're attending the class, and thank you for your participation in our work behind the scenes to produce these books. What did you get out of the class today that you find enlightening? Go ahead.
Oh, so many things. I read so much that usually when I come to the class, it reinforces what I read.
Okay.
So that's kind of the thing that I get. I spend a lot of time saying, "Oh, I just read about that." So it's good to hear even more proof of what you've been saying. It ties to the things that I've been reading, and the Bhagavatam, I read the Bhagavad Gita, I'm reading Beyond Birth and Death. Everything just goes all together. And then I've also read a lot of the research of I'm trying to think of a polite way to put it, the schisms that have been
Yes.
going on. And so I've read all the books by Doktorsky and the Prabhupada Truth Commission books, so I read all of that. So there's also a lot of reinforcement of the historical facts. Yes, this happened, and I'm getting it from several different sources, which is what you do, when you research and you study, is you can't just take one account of things. You have to get a lot of different sources, primary sources, secondary sources. So that's what I get a lot of it. I'm kind of academic, as you know, but I love seeing how all of these things support each other in a very credible, kind of way.
Yes, it's a very interesting scientific look at things, because it is a science to know the truth, and here it's to know the truth about the purpose of life, and we want to look at all the different aspects of it so that we make sure that we've got the right understanding of what to do. I've read a few of Henry's books as well. I can't remember the titles right now. They're generally one read for me, but there's some very valuable information there that tells you about the disaster that took place in West Virginia. And I went to West Virginia many, many times and experienced it firsthand. So it's thank you for participating in the program. It's very enlivening to get new people to take it up properly, and because we are presenting it properly, and for you to be able to reaffirm it by your own personal study, and that's perfect. Thank you. Veronica, are you able to speak? I sent some messages. I hope you saw them, but to give you a warning. Could you make a comment on today's program for us? Go ahead. Is your microphone working?
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. My
Yeah.
sincere obeisance for you. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
My speaking is no good, but for me it's a very interesting stay with all devotees. Talking about the theme for me is very important, because I can't see myself in reference for devotion, and what is the principal view of Srila Prabhupada is more important for us, and for me it's important because I can't find my feeling is like a Sahaya or not, because it's important to know our ment, our desire. What is the difference between my man's, my her, I am what I am, and what I am with respect Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, ¿cómo se dice? Teachings, no? In this time, for me, it's very important because I can understand many things about myself, about Srila Prabhupada, the important is body, because maybe the next time I haven't got this opportunity in this body, no? I try to be more sincerely with me, and try to change my Japamala for now. For me is like I had to change. Okay, you had to change, but I haven't got feeling. Oh my. I can feeling something when I change my japa is not true for me. Now, for me is my responsibility with Srila Prabhupada, and I try to do every time, but for me is like my obligation? No, no obligation. It's my come si dice Prabhu Vijayamurti? È il mio dovere. Come si dice Prabhu Vijayamurti? Is my
it's your duty.
Yes, it's my duty. Yes, it's my duty. Different to Srila Prabhupada. Now, this is for me. I am very happy to stay with all of them, all of you, because you can explain me. I can sit me. I am very ignorant person. The philosophy is very, very bigger for my mind. And I try only change my japa. Only this, maybe the mercy, Prabhupada mercy, maybe come with me. I don't know.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And let me say this, Veronica, Bhaktin Veronica. The best use of time is to chant. Because people, if you see people walking on the street, okay, what do? Nothing. They do nothing. They're thinking on the material platform. They're planning to go somewhere and do something. Okay. And then they're going to, after that, they'll get in their car and go home. And they'll walk in and they'll carry on with their regular duties. So time is marching for all of us. And by use of time through chanting, practice makes perfect. Simple. Yeah. It's a matter of focus. And it's a good use of time, because what else are we going to do with our time? Well, you can think. Everybody's thinking. But by practicing Krishna consciousness, repeating the holy name on a regular basis throughout the day. If you notice Prabhupada, Veronica, when you see his videos, you always, Prabhupada, and I was looking at a quote that Prabhupada was saying about Bhaktisiddhanta was urging his disciples back in the Gaudiya Math to chant 64 rounds a day. That's a long time. And there's a whole pastime about Prabhupada chanting with giving instruction to Michael Grant, Mukunda, about chanting 64 rounds and then 32 rounds and then 16 rounds became the number of rounds he prescribed for us as Westerners so that we could follow this discipline. So the requirement is minimum 16 rounds.
Yeah.
But by you chanting, you can carry on chanting and you may do 30 rounds because you're using your time to focus on Krishna in the holy name. And as far as the result, as long as we chant without offense, don't disobey, this and that, all the different offenses, then Krishna will act and you'll become advanced spiritually and you'll go back to Godhead at the time of death. So you're on the path back to home, back to Godhead, dear. Yashodanandana, we've had a wonderful class today and discussion with our group. If you could share some further understanding for all of us before we move forward with the end of the program. Yashodanandana, Prabhu.
Well, I think you've brought up some very important points. While here at this program, the Hare Krishna Society and Prabhupada Disciples Association, we try to preach a very practical approach of how to take shelter and accept Srila Prabhupada as the Acharya, as your spiritual master. For those who are already initiated, the process is to follow, to chant the rounds, to follow the regulative principles, to read the books, and to preach to others. For those who are aspiring for initiation, just keep chanting, keep following the principles, just like Bhakti Amber was describing. She's regularly reading various books. She comes to the program. She's also rendering some very valuable service with editing and reviewing some of our writings. So there's all different kinds of services that people can do, but the foremost service is to chant Hare Krishna. This is the fundamental service. Just like as part of this program, we often discuss various ideologies which have been infiltrated the Krishna consciousness movement, especially after 1977. And it's very important to understand the context of why we are discussing this. We have no personal agenda of blaspheming, criticizing, or finding fault with anybody. That is not the idea. And if anybody feels upset, well, we apologize. But we will not accept the exalted position of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada to be minimized or criticized, whether people put Facebook videos or Facebook comments or on. Our position as Prabhupada's disciples is to become faithful servants to present His original teaching, His Vani incarnation, to the best of our meager knowledge and ability. And there's substantial misinformation campaign, deception campaigns going on right now all over the world on the internet, through various media and everything, to present a philosophy which is not the original, pure, non-adulterated teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And this is not just about initiation, it's about every aspect of Prabhupada's teachings. We've often discussed this. Various kinds of kirtans have infiltrated in that society which were not introduced by Srila Prabhupada. Various concocted methods of deity worship, concocted methods of offering bhoga have been introduced, which is not according to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. The bogus, nonsense, adulterated book. There's a lot of things which you should be aware of. Do not be victimized by people who advocate the Vapuvad philosophy. Vapuism philosophy is synonym with anti-Prabhupada philosophy. Just be aware of it, so when you see it coming, you'll be able to recognize it. The more you carefully read and study Srila Prabhupada's books and teachings, everything becomes very clear. It will not be very difficult to understand at all. Thank you very much for your attention and your time. Much appreciated. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Very, very well spoken. And the fact of the matter is, now remember this, Veronica, the world of transcendental bliss, of knowledge and happiness will unfold if one is properly connected to Srila Prabhupada in his messages of truth coming from the spiritual sky. This is something that you have to do, not you, but all of us have to do, to be able to taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness and not become affected by the Vapuism movement of Sahajiism. Very interesting, eh? Vapuism and Sahajiism. They go together. You become fake, imposters, pretenders. And there's no reality in it. It's simply another form. Krishna Katha, it's another form of Maya. Very clear, the illusion. We're fighting a war against Maya, and it comes in many different aspects. And this science of Krishna consciousness is being presented to all of us in the Hare Krishna Society Srimad Bhagavatam classes, and our other programs and our other efforts. So thank you, everyone. It is already 9:47 in Yotapek, Yashoda. My God, time flies when you're having fun, they say. It's amazing. I think when we start the program, I think, geez, that's a long program. And it goes beyond an hour and a half, which is a decent amount of time, Ram Raghava? But it goes on till, well, here we have, 9:47. But it went by very quickly and very blissfully with all of us, Krishna Katha. And thank you, Krishna Katha, for being here every class without fail, if you're not driving or doing some work. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you again on Wednesday. That's for Chaitanya Charitamrita reading and discussion. I know it's a bit of an odd time for a lot of people globally. And I know you're going to our Hare Krishna YouTube channel to get reference for that. So thank you. And we've had hundreds of thousands of views of the classes, by the way. So don't be discouraged and think, oh, there's nobody cares. There are lots of people who care. And be guaranteed, Rochisha Devi Dasi, be guaranteed that in the future, this effort that we're making will expand exponentially, and it'll become a very big part of the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move to the chanting of Hare Krishna, led by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and it'll be for 2 minutes and 54 seconds. And then after, Yashoda will end the program. And remember, the music is just the background music. I want you to all look at the credits. We're going to change them soon, but we'll still acknowledge all of you in our credits on your help and participation in our efforts. And simultaneously, we're going to list all of the branch offices of our group. So they listed there. We're going to edit them and make them more current. So if you're interested in being a branch office for distribution of books, etc., and contacting people, let us know and we'll put your name up on the screen at the end of the program. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and we're full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everyone for participating. Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yaltopec, Mexico. Vijay Prabhit in Oroville. Komeva, Komeva Prabhu. Gopika. Hare Krishna, Komeva. Molto
Va
bene.
bene.
Molto
Va bene,
bene.
grazie.
Grazie
Tutto bene.
mille. Grazie mille.
Today's also Chaturbhuja with us.
Oh, very nice.
Chaturbhuja.
Very
Chaturbhuja,
good.
his wife.
Yes,
Antonella.
very nice. Yes, very good, very good. And everybody participating in the program, Bhaktin Ember from Texas, Ram Raghava in Brighton, Georgia, Rochisa Mataji de la Belle Province de Quebec, Krishna Kata hiding under the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is blessing the top of his head. Haribo, Haribo. Beautiful picture. Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, and the beautiful people from Forest Temple in Baja, California. We love your hats. Beautiful Prabhupada hats. Bhakta Vinay in India, Shiv Narayana Prabhu in Japan, and everybody else participating in this program. Rupa Goswami Prabhu, not to forget our illustrious Prabhu in Mumbai, California. Triloka Vijay in Alachua, Florida. Kanta Prabhu in Trinidad. Welcome everyone to come this Wednesday at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Please join us for 2 minutes and so many seconds with a beautiful kirtan with some Jamaican devotee Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.